Hello and welcome to Angie B Crafts. Thank you very much for joining me. So what I thought I would do, I've had some little bits of paper hanging around on my desk for a while, and this is part of a die cut that I used on a different piece, so I thought I'd use some of them up in my little 4x4 journal book. This is a pink pig journal. So the reason I turned to the front was because the front page has got pink pigs on it. Some of these pages are upside down. You'll see this one is. I pick it up and I use it whichever way I kind of see it at the time. So I'm going to use it that way up. It really doesn't matter with journals. They're just for you to do what you want to do in. So because I want the colour to spread, I'm actually going to use the Distress Crayons as a paint. So to do that, I'm going to lay down the colours on the glass mat and then pick them up using water and a paintbrush. I'm just choosing which ones to use. Now I'm thinking this is set 10, and it's quite a nice set because it's got the colours that are similar to in here. In fact, I'm going to get them all out because every colour is actually in this set of papers. So we'll pop the bits off the edge. I'm intending to use it all. I might actually go across 2 pages. I've not decided yet. Looking at the size of that, I think maybe across 2 pages would be better. Right, so to start with, let's lay some colour down. So I'm just going to go with each of these so that I've got options. So I'm using my mat as a paint palette. So the first one's aged mahogany, the second one's wild honey, this one is forest moss, then we have gathered twigs. I think that's the first gathered twigs I've had. And we have tea dye, and a tea dye is one of my favourite distress ink pad colours, so it's nice to get that in a distress crayon colour. And then we have iced spruce, which has got more of a grey tone to it. So I'm going to get my water bottle and I'm just going to do water at the side of each of them, and then I'm going to pick up my brush. Now this brush has still got distress ink on from the last project I worked on. I'm not bothered. So you just pick it up as you would a paint and add it on where you want it. Now what I'm trying to do is go just in between the metal rings on the notebook, purely because I want to do it across 2 pages. I think I've made that decision now that it's going to be across 2 pages. So I'm just wanting the colour to be across the both of them. And I think what I'm going to do is just work my way down and add the different colours. I'm not giving any real thought as to where I'm putting them. I'm just plonking the colours down. This is the first layer, and your first layer is just really to break up that white page. Sometimes it can be quite unnerving when you've got a white page. You kind of go, I don't know what I want to do on it. So just getting some colour on can really help with that. Now on this one, I'm actually going to start on the left hand page because I'm noticing that the colour is getting a bit pale on this side, so we're getting quite a lot of depth here and not so much here, and I don't want that. I want it to be equal-ish. It doesn't matter if they're different colours, but I want different depth, the same. I want depth of colour on both pages. It doesn't matter if the colour that is deep is the same, but I do want it to have some depth of colour. I hope that made sense. As I say, this is layer number 1, so we can carry on and add as many layers as we choose. And this is just one of the ways that you can use the distress crayons. They react very differently. If I was to apply this straight onto the page and then try and spread it, it will actually leave some of the area that you've rubbed, which is why I'm using it more as a paint palette. So I want a little bit more of the red on the left hand page. You'll notice I'm not dipping my water, and it's intentional in that I haven't gone and gotten any water because I knew that I could get away with not using it. My water jugs are currently in the bathroom and not accessible. from my craft room. So again, I'm just working my way down the colours. I might not use them all this time. Add a little bit more water coming down this edge so I can pull it in. So we're getting some nice oranges because the aged mahogany and the wild honey mix. We're getting a nice orange going on there as well. And I'm going to intentionally mix those two on there so we get a different orange. I think we need a little bit more of the green, which is the forest moss. This hasn't actually come up quite as dark as oh, that's better, it's coming up more now. Might actually put a bit more of that on. So I've had distress crayons for a while, but I just recently got an order delivered of 2 sets because I found them on offer somewhere, so it'd be rude not to. So yeah, I'm just getting to play more with them than I have in the past, which is quite nice. It's always nice to play with things, and if you focus, so my intention is to use up scraps but to use colour just from this set, because I like to set myself little challenges about how a piece is going to develop and what I'm going to allow myself to use. I'm going to use stamps and stencils as well, but the colourways are going to relate to this set of distress crayons. I need a little bit more water. It's gotten a bit dry, we're not getting any movement, and we want some movement there. So I'm now at the stage where I'm just working my way up the whole range of the colour, so all the colours are mixing. So we know we're going to get a brown from that, but that's fine because we've got brown in the colourway. So it's kind of just like cleaning up your mat, which is one of the nice things about it. I quite like the way that looks as a base. I'm just going to very quickly mop the wet patch up, just so as I don't end up putting my arm in it, which is highly likely. So the next thing that I'm going to do is use the distress crayons with a stencil. Now I've got this stencil, I think it's called Industrial. It's from Pretty Gets Gritty, and it's got the pipes on it, which is the same as this. It's actually, this is a Pretty Gets Gritty die as well, so they go together. So I'm wanting this in the background, and then this is going to be on top. So what colour? I think I'm going to go with the wild honey, because that's kind of pipe coloured. Now I do like the way these work through stencils, although what I would say to you is if you've got sensitive fingertips, don't do it this way. You do find that it kind of hurts your fingers a little bit. Well, I find it does anyway. Maybe I'm the one with the sensitive fingers. So you'll see it's not going all the way to the edges by the looks of it, but if I lift this off, you will see there is very definitely pipage. That's a new word, isn't it? Pipage. So I'm just wanting some areas of it. I'm not wanting it over all of the page, because I'm planning on using the this crackly bit of the stencil as well. Now another thing, I'll just show you this. If I just wet my finger and then rub it on, you can see there's a lot more movement, because again these are water reactive, so they're going to react to whatever water you put on them. Now the danger of doing it this way is that you're going to get seepage, but I think it's going to fill in the stencil a bit more. So you can see there's some water seepage here, whereas that's much straighter lines. So you can go either way with that, and because this is going to be in the background, I'm really not worried about which way it goes. I've used this on a previous project and had some tape over it to stop me going over these bits, so just let me remove that. Right, so what colour should we do the crackles? I'm thinking I really like this colour, this aged mahogany. In the Distress ink pad, I'm not a fan of it, I'll be honest with you. It's one of those colours, it sits right at the back and I just don't use it. I'm not a fan. But in this, I absolutely love it. I just think it's a stunning deep wine colour. I don't think it works well for me. I don't feel it works as well in the Distress ink pads. Maybe I've not given it a fair go, who knows. So I'm purposely going over. I've not added any extra on this bit. I'm just using the water to take it across. Now I can see there's some seepage, but it's just adding texture in the background. I'm just going to wipe behind it. Use a different part of the crackle on this side. I'm going to think I might actually go over the pipes a little bit on this one. I like this big crack here. So one of the good things about stencils that have got slightly larger shapes, holes in them, is that you can do things like this a little bit more easily. This theory, this theory, it's not a theory, this technique, that's the word I'm looking for, this technique won't work as well with a very fine stencil. It's just not going to work. Right, so we've got a little bit of that done. I'm probably going to come back to the stencil again shortly, but I want to start sticking on some of my little bits and pieces. Now this paper, this is a paper that I ordered online and I couldn't tell you the manufacturer, and I don't think, no, I've not got it to hand anymore, so I'm not sure who the manufacturer is of this one. I'm going to use a little bit of Mod Podge to put this onto my page. So really delicate. Now this brush, I'll be honest with my brush, okay? I'm going to tell you the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth. This brush needs to be really softened up again. I kind of used it with some transparent gesso. This jar, in fact, of transparent gesso at the side of me, and because I haven't actually gotten my water, it got a bit hard. So that's why I'm just using it in this. Try and see if we can do some rescuing of it. Alright. So I am purposely going over the top of what I've already put down. This is tissue paper. So because it's tissue paper, it is translucent. So I'm not worried about going over stuff because I think you should still be able to see a hint of it coming through. And even if you can't, I've said it many times, when you're making a background, your layers build up and what you plan on having on each layer can change. I'm just going to fold this back slightly, and the reason for that is so that I don't ruin the page that's underneath it. You'll also see I didn't dry off the Distress crayons, so as I'm putting on the glue, the Mod Podge, I'm also moving some of the Distress crayon pigment about and getting a little bit of a mix going on. Let's get a little bit more out of the jar. Something I love about having my glass mat, and I don't know if anyone else does this, but one of my favourite things to do is actually get the scalpel or a blade of some description on it and start scraping it when I've got dried glue and dried paint and stuff on it. I just love doing that. Alright, we'll have a little bit of this going down here, I think. So this is just, I've had bits and pieces sitting on my desk for a few days and I just think it's time they got used, because otherwise I do get frustrated by them in the end and end up binning them, and that just seems a shame because they're too small to put in a box. They'll just disappear in a box, so I don't want to do that with them. So this bit here is just going in between a little bit. Got a bit of a fold over there, but I'm purposely not straightening it out because it's gonna add texture. and I love texture. And I like saying texture because I'm weird. So I hope everyone is keeping well. It's been beautiful sunshine the last couple of days up here. We had a very rough weather week last week, so I'm recording this on, I think it's the 5th or the 6th of October, and we had beautiful sunshine today and yesterday, but last week we had torrential rain. I was chatting with someone in the post office earlier on today and saying, is this normal winter weather, this level of downpour? And apparently no, it isn't. You do get rain, but you don't usually get quite so much rain dumped in quite such a short period of time. So that kind of gave me a little sigh of relief, because I was beginning to think that we might need to invest in an ark as opposed to a house, because it was really, really heavy rain. It was dreadful. Oops, didn't get enough out. There we go. I do love Mod Podge. I don't know what it is. I think it's just, number one, I love the name. I just think it's really cool. But you can do this with any gel medium. You can do it with transparent gesso. You can do it with quite a few different products, but there's just something about doing this with Mod Podge. It just makes me happy. Right, so we've nearly used all these bits. Got a few little pieces left. Let's just get them on. We'll have this piece running across the top. Could end up as the bottom, you never can tell. We know that in theory this book's upside down. There's one. Right. This piece. You know what, I don't think I want to use that piece, because I don't want to use a straight edge anymore. Yeah, they've got straight edges, I don't want them. Right, let's decide what we're going to do with this. Now this is quite a large piece of a die, and I'm thinking we don't need to use all of it. So a pair of scissors would be useful, and I'm just going to chop in close to that edge, and we can use that on the other page and decide where I want that. Now don't worry too much about the accuracy of this, because you can just chop it down on the reverse of the page at some point later in the project. Purely because I've got the Mod Podge out, I'm just going to carry on with it. Ordinarily I would have swapped over to a PVA bottle and squirted little bits, but since I've got this out, I'll pop it on, and then I think I'll go over the top of it as well and just seal everything in with Mod Podge, because then we can add, if we want to, another layer of colour. So we shall see how it looks once we have put all this on. I'm getting suitably messy doing this. Fabulous. I don't know why getting messy makes me so happy, but it always does. I love it. Oh, actually I've done those cuts quite well. They work. So we're now getting this theme going on with a little bit of kind of readiness, and we've got tubes, not tubes, pipes even in the background, pipes in the foreground. Yeah, it's doing alright, is this? Doing alright. So on this side, I think I want the pipes up here actually. Yeah, have the pipes up there. This brush feels far too big for what I'm doing, but it's the one that's currently got Mod Podge on it, so we'll just keep going. Now that isn't quite as neat on the edges, is it? There we go. We'll have to chop that one down. That's fine, as I say, that's kind of what you expect to do. Oh, I do like how this distress, look at how the distress crayon, it just is spreading out. It's adding more colour. It's pretty. So pretty. I'm just going to intentionally go over the whole of this now. It's just going to be kind of a seal base. It's giving us, I suppose I'm using the Mod Podge as if it was a transparent gesso. I'm using it as a base and get it all covered, and it just means that everything underneath is sealed and everything that goes on top is going to react in the same way, just like you would with a transparent gesso. Right, so we'll let this dry and then we shall move on to the next stage. So here is where we got up to yesterday, and I came across this while I was clearing my desk off as well, which is another part of the same thing. So I'm wanting to attach that on, and I'm thinking it needs to go here. So that's kind of how that's going to look for now. But I also want to stamp a sentiment, and the only stamp that I had sitting on my desk is this one, and I don't even actually know what it says. So let's have a look what it says. I'll just stamp it. I'll stamp it on the back of this and see what it says. One thing I would say to you, and it's something that I didn't really think about for quite a while, is just because you've got a patterned piece of paper, it doesn't mean you have to use the patterned side. You can use the plain side. So because I said I was using stuff off my desk, I think I need to use this stamp because it's the only stamp on my whole desk. It says, "As the sun colours flowers, so does art colour life." And I think that's pretty standard, but you know what I think I might do? Yeah, I'm going to get some scissors and I'm going to cut that down. I'm not actually going to, even though that colour tone mixes in, it's not really big enough. So I'm going to chop this down a little bit, and I'm going to colour it up using the pens again. Just let me reach through and get some crayons, sorry, not pens, baby crayons. A little bit of water in the corner and find a suitable paintbrush. That's not a very big paintbrush, there's a bigger one. There we go. Right, so I'm thinking, again, I'm going to use it as if it's a paint on the mat because I haven't actually gessoed this piece of card. So if I was to go straight onto the card, it's just going to show up all the edging, the contact, whereas doing this, it'll go on just like a paint. In fact, I might just go over the whole thing. Yeah, that's working. Purposely doing it in different directions, so if there are any striations of colour, it doesn't look all in one direction. That looks quite nice. Quite happy with that as a sentiment. Everything's going to fall on top of me now. One day I will work at a clean desk. That day is not, however, today. Right, I'm just going to very quickly blast this so it's dry, and then I can edge it. I only had a little bit of water in it, so that's fine now. And then to edge this, I'm just going to use my little Stays On ink pad. Oops, well that was accidental, but you know what, it just means I'm going to have to grunge it up. I mean, I could always reprint it, restamp it, but no point in wasting it, is there? There we go. Quite happy with that. Love a little bit of grunge. So I'm thinking this can go on here. So we need to stick this on. I'm just going to use this brush as well because it's the one I've got out. Now again, I'm just using the Mod Podge to put this on, and then I'll stick a layer over the top. And I think I might get something that's got a bit of shimmer to it. I'm not sure what that's going to be yet. I'm thinking it's likely to be the Pretty Gets Gritty mousse things, the name of which escapes me. Whipped mousse, Pretty Whipped Mousse it's called, that's what it's called. These things come back every now and again. So I like the whipped mousse because they just add a sheen. You can use them as a paint, or you can use them as a gilding wax kind of thing. And they come in quite a few different colours. Let's see which ones I've got. Let's see which ones I can open. There we go. So I've got burnished, which is, as the name suggests, it kind of looks a bit burnished. So I'm going to pop this out. I'm going to put it out on my mat because I want to, you can see it's actually getting really claggy inside. I've just had to use my little magic jar opener to get it open because it's a bit claggy. So I'm wanting to water this down a little bit because I don't want it quite as thick. I want to use it more as a paint rather than as a thick mousse. I like this product because you can use it in different states. So obviously I've got quite a few different brands of gilding wax and shiny things, but this is nice because you can change it from being quite obviously a thick mousse to something a lot runnier. So I'm just applying the initial colour. I'm not remotely bothered about the fact that some of it's going over the edges because it's in keeping tone wise with what's underneath. So it's going to look absolutely fine. And because you're going on black for some of it and on white or pink for the other bits, it's going to look fine. So I don't know if you can actually see how that's ended up looking. It's just got a little bit of a gild on it now. I'm going to do the same over here. Now bear in mind this bottom bit is probably not quite dry. I'm just going to give it a quick blast. Let's get it dry, or drier. Yeah, that'll do. Just dry enough to apply this without it ruining it. So I'm not being neat and tidy and careful with this. It's just about getting the colour on, getting a little bit of added texture. What I like about it, because I've put the Mod Podge on top, it's the brush lines are showing up. I don't know if you can actually, you can just about see it here. Can you see how there's some lines here? And it's added texture, and that's purely because the Mod Podge has gone across at that angle. So there's just a bit of added colour where the Mod Podge was. Now I'm just going to add some of this around and about. I'm going to add some on top of the less coloured bits, some on top of the paper. Let's just get little bits of it, and for each one I'm just going in and rubbing it back a little bit because we don't want it. I'm going to turn that way. So the reason I've done this is so that I can actually access up here, because if you do it, if you look, when it's there I can't get my finger in. So one of the things about these books is you can fold them back. It's great. I do like these books. I've got far too many of them. So I'm thinking that I might start putting together some little creative boxes that will include things like the 4-inch little book and some different products for you to start playing with and learning about. So if anyone's interested, let me know and I'll see if there's interest. I think I might just start putting some together that I can send out, and then we can do some projects on them just on here. I'm liking the way that's looking. Right, I guess I've got some of this left. I don't know if it's going to work, but hey, I suppose there's one way to find out. Let's water it down a little bit more. So what you need to remember when you do water things down is it does change the makeup of it as well. So it might look a bit different as you water it down, not just more watery, it might react slightly differently. So don't expect it to react exactly the same. This piece of paper, remember, hasn't got the Mod Podge on top. So as soon as I'm putting this on, it's just kind of getting sucked straight into the card paper. It's thin, it's thick paper, thin card, this. So it's just sucked straight in and it's made it all a little bit flippy floppy. I quite like that. I don't want to cover up too much of that. I think we'll put that there. I feel the need to splish splash. Let's see if I can find a fan brush. Oh, can't find one. Oh, there's one. I knew I had one somewhere. We'll just use this again. I mean, you can use whatever colour you want, but I just think keeping it the same. Now if you watch any Dina Wakley videos, you'll hear her calling this the pox, and it's quite apt. I've currently got a screen on my laptop. My laptop is situated just over there, and I've currently got a screen that is covered in some Dina Wakley spray paint from when I gave something the pox, and I've also got like a net curtain in front of me just to stop people who walk past from seeing what I'm up to in my craft room, and it's also covered in little orange spots. Oops, but it's entirely worth it. Right, so I just need to very quickly give a blast to this so that I can then stick it on. I don't want to stick it on while it's wet because it's got different stuff underneath. I'll give a quick blast on here, dry off the pox. Alright, let's use a bit, let's use a bit of cosmic shimmer glue actually. My very first glue that I bought when I started crafting, or that I remember buying anyway, was this. Well, it wasn't this bottle, I've had several bottles since, but it was a bottle of cosmic shimmer, one of the little bottles, and I've always loved it. But I like the big bottle better than the little one because you get more in it. There we go. Right, now I need a black pen to do my edging. I'll go with my Jane Davenport's, and we'll go for brush number 3. So this is kind of mid-sized brush nib. So let's pop this round. Now these brushes are designed that they will go over most things. In theory it's everything. It isn't everything, but it's a lot. They do go over a lot. And again, I'm just going to incorporate the two pieces together by doing the edging around both pages. There we go. A little bit of squiggle. And I think we're done, and I'm quite liking the way that's looking. I do like, so this is literally, it was just a plan to use up the bits of scrap that I had. So these are scrap, this is scrap, this was a scrap piece, and it's just come together to make a really cute page. Thank you very much for watching. If you want to watch more of my videos, please subscribe to me, then you get notifications when I put a new one up. Follow me on other social media. I'm on Facebook as Angie B Crafts and on Instagram as Angie Mary B. Thank you very much for watching. Bye for now.